Don't scroll. I know you've been waiting for a sign. I know you've been asking God the same question every single day. When? When will they come? When will this waiting end? When will I finally get my answer? And God has been quiet. Not because He wasn't listening. Because He was preparing something you couldn't prepare for. Something unexpected. Something unannounced. Something that will catch you off guard in the most beautiful way. God says your person is coming to you unannounced. Not with a warning. Not with a text that says, "We need to talk." Not with a carefully planned conversation that gives you time to prepare your heart, to build your walls, to rehearse what you're going to say. Unannounced. The way a storm comes, suddenly, powerfully, leaving everything different than it was before. And it will change everything. Not slowly. Not gradually. Not in ways you'll have to squint to see. Immediately. Irreversibly. The way a door slams shut and another swings open at the same time. So take a breath. Put your phone down on a flat surface if you need to. Put your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. You're about to find out what God has been preparing. And it's bigger than you think. Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. Let me tell you why they're coming unannounced. Because if they announced it, if they gave you time to prepare, you would prepare your walls. You would rehearse your speech. You would decide what to say and what not to say. You would protect yourself. You would hold back. You would keep a part of yourself safe, just in case they hurt you again. And God doesn't want that. God wants you to be surprised. Unprepared. Caught off guard. Because that's when the heart speaks the truth. Not the rehearsed truth. Not the careful truth. Not the truth that's been edited and refined and made safe. The raw truth. The messy truth. The truth that comes out when you don't have time to think, to plan, to protect. That truth, your truth, is what they need to hear. And their truth, the one they've been hiding, is what you need to hear. That's why they're coming unannounced. Not to catch you off guard. To set you free. Don't scroll. Stay with me. This is where most people scroll away because it's easier to doubt than to believe. Don't be most people. Here's what God has been doing behind the scenes. The parts you can't see. The parts they can't see. God has been dismantling the obstacles. The things that kept you apart. The misunderstandings. The timing. The other person. The fear. The pride. The excuses. One by one, God has been removing them. Not dramatically. Not in ways you would notice. Quietly. The way water wears down stone. A conversation that went differently than expected. A realization that came at 3 a.m. A door that closed unexpectedly. A truth that could no longer be ignored. God has been working. And now, the obstacles are gone. Not all of them. Not the small ones. But the big ones, the ones that really mattered, have been moved. What's left is the truth. And the truth is that they belong with you. Not because it's convenient. Not because they have nowhere else to go. Not because the other person finally messed up enough to make you look good. Because God said so. And what God says, God does. Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. Here's what the unannounced arrival will look like. Not the exact moment, I can't give you that. But the energy of it. The feeling of it. The way you'll know. It won't be dramatic. Not like the movies. Not with grand gestures and swelling music. It will be simple. Almost ordinary. A knock on the door you weren't expecting. A message that appears when you've stopped checking. A call that comes at a random time, on a random day, when you weren't thinking about them. And in that moment, something in your chest will shift. Not because they said anything special. Because you'll feel it. The shift. The change. The knowing that this time is different. Your heart will recognize what your mind is still afraid to believe. They're here. They came. Unannounced. And everything is about to change. Don't scroll. This is where everything shifts. Here's what will happen when they come. Not the details. The truth. First, you'll feel scared. Not the kind of scared that makes you run. The kind of scared that makes you freeze. The kind that comes from wanting something so badly that you're afraid to believe it's actually happening. You'll want to protect yourself. To keep your walls up. To say, why now, and why should I believe you, and how do I know you won't leave again? That's normal. That's human. That's your heart trying to protect itself. But here's what I need you to remember. They came unannounced. They didn't prepare. They didn't rehearse. They didn't give you time to build your walls. That's their proof. Not their words. Their actions. The fact that they showed up, without a plan, without a guarantee, without knowing how you'll respond. That's courage. The kind of courage you've been waiting for. So when you feel scared, remember that. They were scared too. But they came anyway. That's love. Real love. Don't scroll. Stay with me. We're halfway through part 1. Here's what else will happen when they come. You'll hear the truth. Not the truth you've been telling yourself. Not the story you've been rehearsing in your head. The real truth. They'll tell you why they left. Why they stayed away. Why they couldn't reach out. Not as an excuse. As an explanation. Not to justify. To be known. They'll tell you about the fear. The confusion. The voices in their head that told them they weren't good enough, that they'd mess it up, that they didn't deserve you. They'll tell you about the nights they almost called. The messages they typed and deleted. The dreams they couldn't shake. They'll tell you that they never stopped loving you. That they tried to. That they wanted to. That they couldn't. They'll tell you the truth. And the truth will break your heart and put it back together at the same time. Because you'll realize, maybe for the first time, that it was never about you not being enough. It was about them not being ready. But they're ready now. That's why they came. Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. Here's what God wants you to know about the unannounced arrival. It's not a test. It's not a trick. It's not something you have to figure out or earn or prove yourself worthy of. It's a gift. The gift you've been praying for. The gift they've been praying for. The gift that heaven has been preparing since before you were born. So receive it. Not cautiously. Not suspiciously. Not with one foot out the door, ready to run if it gets hard. Receive it the way you receive a sunrise. The way you receive a breath. The way you receive a heartbeat. Naturally. Gratefully. Fully. Because that's what it is. A sunrise after a long night. A breath after holding it for too long. A heartbeat after being still. It's life. The life you were meant to live. With them. Don't scroll. We're almost through part 1. Here's what I want you to do while you wait for the unannounced arrival. Not anxiously. Not desperately. Not with your phone glued to your hand. I want you to prepare your heart. Not your walls. Your heart. I want you to practice receiving. Not questioning. Not analyzing. Not figuring out. Receiving. Because receiving is harder than chasing. Receiving requires trust. Receiving requires you to believe that you deserve good things. And you do. You deserve this. You deserve them. Not because you're perfect. Because you're real. Because you've been faithful. Because you've waited with grace and hoped with courage and loved without guarantees. You deserve this. So practice receiving. Practice saying, thank you, instead of, why now? Practice saying, I'm glad you're here, instead of, where have you been? Practice saying, I love you too, instead of, prove it. That's how you prepare your heart. Not by building walls. By opening doors. And when they come, unannounced, unexpected, unplanned, you'll be ready. Not with a speech. With an open heart. And that's all they ever wanted. Not your perfection. Your presence. So be present. Be open. Be ready. Because God says your person is coming to you unannounced. And it will change everything. Breathe. Put your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. You're still here. You made it through part 1. And part 2 is where I tell you how to recognize the moment when it happens. What to say. What not to say. And how to know if this time is different. But for now, just sit with this. God says your person is coming to you unannounced. Not because you earned it. Because love is grace. And grace is arriving. Right now. Don't scroll. Part 2 is here. And if you made it through part 1, if you stayed when everything in you wanted to protect yourself by not believing, then you're ready for what comes next. Because part 1 was about the unannounced arrival. The unexpected knock. The message that appears when you've stopped checking. The moment God has been preparing since before you were born. Part 2 is about something harder. How to recognize the moment when it happens. Because it won't look like you think it will. It won't feel like you expect it to. And if you're not paying attention, if you're too busy protecting yourself, too busy analyzing, too busy waiting for the other shoe to drop, you might miss it. Not the arrival itself, but the significance of it. You might receive them with walls instead of welcome, with questions instead of openness, with fear instead of faith. And that would be a tragedy. Because this moment, the one God has been preparing, is not going to come again. Not like this. Not with this timing. Not with this alignment. So take a breath. Stay with me. Don't scroll. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to help you recognize the moment when it arrives. And recognizing it is the first step to receiving it. Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. Here's what the unannounced arrival will not look like. It will not look like the movies. No slow motion. No swelling orchestra. No dramatic confession in the rain. It will not look like a grand gesture. No flowers at your door. No speeches rehearsed for weeks. No perfect words that say exactly what you've been waiting to hear. It will not look like a fairy tale. No knight in shining armor. No rescue from the tower. No, I'm here to save you. Because you don't need to be saved. You need to be seen. And being seen doesn't require fireworks. It requires presence. The unannounced arrival will look simpler than that. Quieter. Almost ordinary. A knock on the door when you weren't expecting anyone. A message that says, "Hey," after months of silence. A call that comes at a random time, on a random day, when you've finally stopped checking your phone. It will look like someone showing up. Not with answers. With themselves. Messy. Nervous. Unsure what to say. That's how you'll know it's real. Not because they have the perfect words. Because they don't. Because they're stumbling, fumbling, trying to find the courage to say what's in their heart. Real love doesn't arrive with a script. It arrives with a heartbeat. And heartbeats are messy. Don't scroll. Stay with me. This is where most people want to look away. Don't. Here's what the unannounced arrival will feel like. Not excitement. Not the kind of butterflies that come from a crush or a new relationship. Something deeper. Something that feels like relief. Like your soul exhaling after holding its breath for months. Like your body finally relaxing after being tense for so long. Like your heart saying, finally, before your mind even knows what's happening. That's how you'll know. Not because your heart is racing. Because it's slowing down. Not because you're nervous. Because you're calm. Not because you're trying to figure out what to say. Because you don't have to try. The words will come. Not perfect words. Real words. And real words are better than perfect ones. Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. Here's what you need to do when the moment comes. Not after. Not later. In the moment. Breathe. That's it. Just breathe. Because in the moment of arrival, your instinct will be to do something. To say something. To explain. To justify. To ask the questions you've been holding for months. Why now? Why should I believe you? How do I know you won't leave again? Those questions are valid. They come from real wounds. And they deserve to be asked. But not in the first moment. In the first moment, just breathe. Because the first moment is not for questions. It's for presence. It's for letting the reality of their arrival sink in. For letting your heart catch up to what's happening. For giving yourself permission to simply be there, without needing to figure everything out at once. So breathe. Let them see you breathing. Let them see that you're not running. Let them see that you're staying. That's the message. Not your words. Your presence. I'm still here. I didn't close the door. I waited. That's what they need to know. Not your questions. Your presence. So give them that. In the first moment, give them your presence. The questions can come later. Don't scroll. This is where everything shifts. Here's what you should not do when they arrive. Do not punish them. I know you've been hurt. I know you've been waiting. I know there's a part of you that wants to make them feel even a fraction of the pain you've felt. Don't. Not because they don't deserve it. Because it won't help. Punishment doesn't create safety. It creates more distance. It tells them that coming back is dangerous, that honesty is punished, that vulnerability is not safe. And if they don't feel safe, they will retreat. Not because they don't love you. Because survival is stronger than love. So don't punish them. Don't make them pay for every day they were gone. Don't hold their silence against them as if they owe you a debt of suffering. They already know they hurt you. They already carry that guilt. They already replay every moment they failed you. You don't need to remind them. They haven't forgotten. What they need is not punishment. What they need is mercy. The kind of mercy that says, I know you hurt me. And I'm choosing to stay anyway. That's not weakness. That's strength. The strongest thing you can do is love someone who doesn't deserve it. Because that's what God does. And you are made in God's image. Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. Here's what you should do instead. Listen. Not with your defenses up. Not with your mind already preparing your response. Not with your heart guarded, waiting for them to say the wrong thing so you can prove they haven't changed. Listen the way you wanted them to listen to you. With presence. With curiosity. With an open heart. Let them speak. Let them stumble. Let them find the words, even if the words aren't perfect. They've been holding this in for months. Maybe longer. They've been rehearsing what they want to say. They've been afraid to say it. They've been waiting for the right moment. This is the right moment. So let them speak. Don't interrupt. Don't correct. Don't finish their sentences. Let them say what they came to say. And when they're done, when the words have run out and they're sitting there, vulnerable and exposed, waiting for your response, that's when you speak. Not with a speech. With honesty. Tell them how you feel. Not how they made you feel. How you feel. I'm scared. I've missed you. I didn't think you were coming back. I'm glad you're here. Not, you hurt me. Not, you left. Not, you chose someone else. Those things are true. And they matter. And you should talk about them. But not in the first moment. In the first moment, speak your heart. Not your wounds. Your wounds can speak later. Your heart needs to speak first. Don't scroll. Stay with me. We're halfway through part 2. Here's what will happen after the first moment. After the breathing. After the listening. After the honesty. The real conversation will begin. Not the one you rehearsed. The one you couldn't have rehearsed because you didn't know what they were going to say. That conversation will be hard. It will be messy. There will be tears. There will be moments of silence. There will be things said that can't be taken back. But it will be real. And real is what you've been asking for. In that conversation, you will have to make a choice. Not about whether to take them back. Not yet. About whether to be honest. Really honest. The kind of honest that scares you. The kind that says, I'm still in love with you even though you're afraid to admit it. The kind that says, I don't know if I can trust you again even though you want to. The kind that says, I'm scared you're going to leave again even though you're trying to be strong. That honesty is the only thing that will save you. Not pretending to be okay when you're not. Not acting like you've got it all together when you're falling apart. Not protecting yourself by holding back. Honesty. Because honesty is the foundation of everything real. And if you can't be honest now, in this moment, when everything is on the line, when will you be? Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. Here's what God wants you to know about the unannounced arrival. It's not a test of whether they've changed enough. It's a test of whether you can receive. Receiving is harder than giving. Giving is active. Receiving is vulnerable. Giving says, I have something to offer. Receiving says, I need something from you. And needing something from someone is terrifying. Because needing means you can be disappointed. Needing means you can be let down. Needing means you're not in control. But needing is also the only way to love. Because love without need is just performance. It's showing up when it's convenient, giving when it feels good, staying when it's easy. Real love needs. Real love says, I can't do this alone. Real love says, I need you. That's what they're asking you. Not with words. With their presence. I need you. And you need them. That's not weakness. That's truth. The truth that has been trying to reach you for months. The truth that God has been preparing you to receive. You need them. And they need you. That's why they came. Don't scroll. We're almost through part 2. Here's what I want you to take with you. The unannounced arrival is coming. Not on your timeline. On God's. But it's coming. And when it comes, you'll have a choice. You can receive them with walls. Or you can receive them with welcome. You can punish them for the past. Or you can embrace them in the present. You can ask, why now? Or you can say, I'm glad you're here. The choice is yours. But here's what I need you to understand. The way you receive them will determine everything. If you receive them with walls, they will retreat. Not because they don't love you. Because they won't feel safe. If you receive them with welcome, they will stay. Not because they're perfect. Because they'll feel safe enough to try. Safety is what they're looking for. Not answers. Not guarantees. Not promises they can't keep. Safety. The feeling that they can be themselves. Messy, imperfect, scared, and you won't run. That's what you've been looking for too. Safety. The feeling that you can be yourself, wounded, hopeful, afraid, and they won't leave. That's what this is about. Not romance. Not fairy tales. Not happily ever after. Safety. Two people, choosing to be vulnerable with each other, trusting that the other won't use that vulnerability as a weapon. That's love. That's soulmate love. That's what God has been preparing. So when they come, unannounced, unexpected, unplanned, receive them. Not with walls. With welcome. Not with punishment. With mercy. Not with questions. With presence. And watch what happens. Because when two people choose safety over fear, everything changes. Not overnight. Not without work. Not without setbacks. But truly. Irreversibly. Divinely. That's what God says. Your person is coming to you unannounced. And it will change everything. If you let it. Breathe. Put your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. You're still here. You made it through part 2. And part 3 is where I tell you what happens after the arrival. How to build something that lasts. How to trust again. How to love without losing yourself. But for now, just sit with this. Your person is coming. Not because you earned it. Because love is grace. And grace is arriving. Don't miss it.